Hey guys, welcome to Capital City Underground. I'm Bailey Neal.
And I'm John Hansen. Today we'll take a look at stories about drones on campus, moms in school, the baseball club, and a whole lot more.
We also have a great musical guest that we know you'll love, but first, here's a look at what's happening in Lincoln and around the country. The university's plans for the former bookstore downtown have been kept under wraps for months, until now. This Friday, everyone is welcome to attend a special event in which the announcement will be made as to what exactly will be done with that site. Doors open at 10:30 and the event will begin at 11 a.m. inside the building at 13th and Q. UCare is a program that supports UNL undergraduates to work one-on-one with faculty advisors on research or creative activities. Applications are available now through January 26th for the summer 2016 term. Students are strongly encouraged to attend workshops for tips and advice on how to create the best application. The next workshop will be held on November 11th at 4 p.m. in the City Campus Union.
The National Toy Hall of Fame announced the 2015 inductees. This year's class includes Twister, the Puppet, and the Super Soaker. Finalists that did not make the cut include Battleship, American Girl Dolls, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Hall of Fame at the Strong Museum in Rochester recognizes toys for their longevity and ability to foster discovery through play. Omaha tribe leaders have approved 3 referendums that will give the Tribal Council authority to legalize marijuana for medicinal and recreational purposes and to grow plants for industrial hemp on tribal land in western Iowa. The Nebraska-based tribe will work to ensure that any proposed plan would not violate federal or state laws.
Nebraska's Corrections Director Scott Frakes has unveiled a plan to ease overcrowding in some of the state prisons, and it's estimated to cost just over $26 million. Frakes said Wednesday that the department needs the money for additional beds at correctional community centers in Lincoln and Omaha. It would also allow the department to place male and female inmates in separate facilities. Seems like you can't really look anywhere these days without seeing a drone. From recreational use to businesses, drones are no longer a thing of the future.
Joining us now live from the Union is reporter Jay Tan, who looked into the many ways that academic programs at UNL are also using drone technology.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Bailey. Technology can bring about some pretty great things sometimes, including drones. Over at the computer science building on campus, the Nimbus Lab team is creating a fire dropper drone, which could be used to help in conservation efforts.
Drones, sometimes called unmanned aerial vehicles or UAVs, are becoming increasingly popular for their many uses, including capturing aerial footage, transporting goods, and collecting research data. Today, a team on UNL campus are working on a drone that could aid in environmental conservation.
What this will do is it has these little ignition spheres which contain a chemical in them, and when that's injected and then dropped, it'll light on fire a couple seconds later, and so they can start fires remotely using these balls.
The drone will be used to carry out prescribed burns, a method used to clear invasive species and reduce the risk of wildfires.
What these are normally used in is big helicopters, and they have this big machine that'll inject tons of these at a time and fly over an area, and they can light fires remotely with that. That's really expensive to do, and so most prescribed burns are done by a guy with a gas tan lighting fires by hand, and so that's sort of dangerous.
Matt Wade, a professor teaching drone journalism at the College of Journalism and Mass Communications, sees a similar reason why drones will become a better alternative.
The benefit here for a lot of different businesses and industries is that the costs here are so much lower than what a manned aircraft would require. Things that weren't cost effective in the past suddenly become cost effective.
Though drones are safer and more cost effective, there are still limitations at the moment.
The real key limitation of drone technology right now, particularly the smaller versions that are battery powered, is the amount of power you can lift in the air, how much it weighs, and how long it'll keep it flying.
As technology continues to improve, we can expect to see more applications for drones in the future.
As of right now, they're still working to improve on some features of the drone, such as battery capacity and weight capacity. But we can expect to see some pretty interesting developments in the future.
That's so cool. Jay, besides what we just saw, what other drone projects are students working on at the university?
They're also working on a water a drone to like samples from water utilizing a tube, which I find to be pretty interesting and useful for research developments.
Jay, did you get to fly one of them yourself?
As much as I would like to know, unfortunately you need a license to be able to operate one of those things for safety concerns and the obvious safety concerns.
Thanks, Jay. That is really cool how the university is letting students have firsthand experience, with these drones. It's some really high technology, and it's really great what the university is doing.
It's so cool. There's a new journalism class that's starting next semester about it. I wish I would be around for that, but too bad.
A sentence date has been set for a Philadelphia woman who admitted she kept mentally disabled adults locked up for their disability checks. To avoid a possible death sentence, Linda Weston pleaded guilty in September to all 196 criminal offenses against her. Weston was arrested in October 2011 when a landlord found 4 adults locked in a boiler room and called police. U.S. intelligence officials say there is a possibility that ISIS planted a bomb on the Russian plane that crashed over the Sinai Desert on Saturday. All 224 people on the plane were killed when the passenger jet broke apart in midair. The plane left from a resort in Egypt and was en route to St. Petersburg, Russia. Evidence suggests that an airport official in Egypt may have played a role in getting the bomb on board. The investigation remains active.
A missing Alabama child has been found 13 years after he was abducted. Julian Hernandez, now 18, was found living with his father in Ohio. Hernandez went missing in 2002 after his dad left a note saying he had taken his son. Authorities say it's unlikely that Hernandez knew he was even listed as missing. He was found when he tried to apply to college. The father will likely face charges in Alabama. On a happier note, children and wives of fallen soldiers who have served in Afghanistan and Iraq are being honored this weekend. 22 mothers and 35 children will have a fun-filled day at the Nebraska Guards Camp before they are flown in style to Lincoln. Families will then be driven to Memorial Stadium, where they have all been given tickets to attend Saturday's game against Michigan State. Bill and Yvonne Williams, who run the nonprofit, hope that hundreds of people will turn out to greet the families. And I hope that the team can perform well for them. That would be a nice tribute.
After the break, Renata Guzman has this week's Spotlight story. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and now it's time for our Spotlight piece.
Capital City Underground reporter Renata Guzman, along with videographer JC John and video editor Bree DeBose, took some time to uncover students who may not receive as much appreciation as they should.
Over 26% of all undergraduate students are raising dependent children. Women make up 71% of that. They work, go to school, and raise their children. Safe to say they are a superwoman of our generation. Morgan Wilkinson, a 23-year-old student parent at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, says it isn't easy.
Luckily, I have a wonderful support system, but your initial reaction is basically panic. You don't know what you're going to do. You don't know what this means for you. But luckily, I had Charlie, my husband, and I had my family, so it completely changed my life. I no longer lived my life for myself. I live it for him now and my family. But initially, if in school terms, I had to take time off. I didn't have a choice, so I had to take time off from school to have him, and luckily I was able to take time off from everything, so work and everything too, for a couple months right after. But from that moment on, it was basically, how do I fit in what I can now, and then, kind of live each day by day and try to make the best out of the situation that I could.
Jan Deeds is the director of the Women's Center at UNL. The university has only documented 13 student parents, and Deeds says the stereotype of being a young parent may keep others from being recognized.
Well, I think adult women out in the workforce worry about this sometimes too. Should I tell the person I'm interviewing with that I'm pregnant? Because then they're going to assume that I'll probably quit or whatever. So there are stereotypes about parenting.
There's kind of a stigma on it that, well, she's pregnant, she's in college, she's probably not going to finish college, So, and my main goal is to make Brady's life the best life. So with that, trying to break the stereotype, if you would say that, just trying to keep going and as slow as I need to go, but to keep going.
the truth of the matter is that student parents are some of the most organized people ever. They know what they have to do. You put the baby in their little jumper, but they sleep in their clothes for the next day, so that then you can just put them in the car and get them to childcare, and then get to your classes, and then do all of those things. So you know what you need to do, and you've scheduled when you're going to study, and you have the backup systems, plan B, C, D for childcare. You have to do that in order to be able to do this. So in fact, parents are some of the most organized students ever, and the most determined. Again, and I think that is part of the you get the message that it's going to be really hard for you to do this, and so you may not be able to do it. Well, I think it's going to be really hard, but you're going to do it because you're really determined to do it.
School, college has never, to me, in my mind, been an option of no or yes. I've always known that I wanted to do, and my dream has always been to be an elementary school teacher. So I knew I would be finishing. When you start as a freshman, you think, oh, 4 years, I'm done. And that's not really the case for a lot of people, even in my situation, even if they're not in my situation. So it's never been an option for me not to finish.
After taking 3 semesters off of school to deliver Brady, Morgan expects to graduate in a year and a half. The Women's Center is full of resources and is available for any students who need someone to talk to about the beginning of your life as a parent. But Morgan has a little advice too.
You're as strong as you think that you are. So, if you're thinking like, I can't do this, you can do more than you think you can do. So I don't ever think that, and to me, of course, at the beginning, I looked at it as an obstacle, but now, I can't even imagine my life not going in this direction. It's just kind of how it's become, what it's become, and if you make the most of it, then it can be the biggest blessing in your life.
What a great story. I can't even imagine. I can hardly take care of myself, let alone someone else. So you talked to Morgan a lot.
I did.
Tell me about what is her daily life like,
So Morgan has a busy life. So she is going to school, she's taking 3 credits, and she's working 35 hours a week. So right now, they wake up at about 6:30. She wakes up Brady. She gets him dressed. She eats, he eats. She gets him ready, and by 7:30, they're out the door dropping him off at daycare, and she's either headed to work or she's going to school. And then at that point, she comes home at about 4:30, and at about 5, her husband Charlie leaves to go to work. And then she spends the evening with Brady until he gets home, and then they do it all over again.
Definitely a change of pace than most students.
It really is.
All right, guys, stick around, especially if you're a student living in a dorm on campus. You'll want to hear this next segment. We'll be back after the break.
As a student at the University of Nebraska, there are certain rights to which you are entitled.
Living on campus sure is convenient, but it comes with its own set of rules.
Here's reporter Joy Carey with more about your rights and resources in the dorms.
Last year, more than 6,600 students lived in the UNL residence halls. That's a lot of housing contracts, but student rights in the dorms are a bit different than a regular apartment.
They have every right to live in their free space, but they also need to understand that they are living under the university's roof.
One of the best ways for you to know what rights you do and don't have in the dorms is to read the entire housing contract that you signed at the beginning of the year. You can look it up online on your phone. It has some pretty interesting specifics, like the fact that burning a candle in the dorms is forbidden, and you could be charged up to $400 if you break your housing contract. One thing that students are always interested in when it comes to dorm rights is when are they allowed to say no to a search? According to the Assistant Director of Residence Life, it's pretty specific.
The police have to get a search warrant to get into the room. Now, saying that, and usually it happens in the marijuana cases, they'll say, no, we're not going to let you search. Well, then the police pull them out of the room and make them sit in the hallway. They do get a search warrant, and then they go in and they search the room.
Zaborowski says many student problems on campus are simply the result of students not using their resources.
There is an enormous amount of resources on this campus. I just think that for most students, they don't realize it's out there, and they're confused as to who to ask.
And Zaborowski says in the halls, RAs are the first line of defense.
We spend a lot of time training RAs about resources and ways to help students. And I think if students would, as they're experiencing difficulty, go to their RA first, maybe some of the difficulty they're facing wouldn't have to be as bad if they would just ask for help.
With videographer Connor Dunn, I'm Joy Carey.
Thanks, Joy. There are some pretty interesting things in that housing contract, like the fact that you're not allowed to play drums or electric guitar in the dorms because of the noise.
I can see that one. But here's something that's positive. Now students with a meal plan have 3 free guest meals a semester. So that's kind of new.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. Maybe I'll have to make friends with someone who has a meal plan.
I sure want to. All right, guys, it's been an absolutely gorgeous out lately. Let's go to Cody and Audra up in our weather studio to see just how long this nice weather is going to last.
With the Capital City Underground Weather Team, Cody, Audra, and Jake update Lincoln with your latest weather information. From the storms to the studio, let's take a look at this week's forecast.
Good evening, Lincoln. I'm Audra Moore with your Capital City Underground Weather. Even though it has been unseasonably warm this week, it is Winter Weather Preparedness Week. We'll take a look at a list of things you should have in your home in case you're stuck. Some things people don't think of are your medications. Make sure instead of letting those close to run out, you should have at least 7 days worth at home and on hand at all times. Also, don't forget about your pets. If you're stuck in your car out in the snow, there are also some things you should have in your car, similar to what you should have in your house: food, water, flashlight, first aid kit. Also though, don't forget to have your jumper cables on hand. It's getting colder, and in the mornings those cars sometimes don't want to start right away. But, you know, these things we can do to be ready for that. Anyway, now maybe it's snowing throughout the U.S. and maybe close to home. Cody Carlin will have that information for you coming up.
Thanks, Audrey. Yeah, we're not seeing any snow around here, thankfully. That's all getting held up near the U.S. and Canadian border. But it seemed like today, right here in the capital city, we went from summer to fall within a matter of hours. We had a cold front move through this afternoon, and well, that's why you can see we have current temperatures at 53 degrees, mostly cloudy. Those northwest winds are at 15 to 20 miles an hour, and they're coming right from Canada, bringing us that cooler Canadian air. Across much of Nebraska, it was cool. North Platte at 46, McCook at 48, but look at Scottsbluff at 39. As we look at the eastern half of the state, Columbus is at 46, Omaha at 57, even Concordia, Kansas down there, 70 degrees, and that was due to us having that cold front move through later in the day, allowing us for having us have some heating throughout the morning. So if we take a look now at tonight, 34 degrees, clear, those northwest winds still at 10 to 15 miles an hour. It's going to be a lot more seasonable for tomorrow with a high temperature of 58 degrees. There it is. Mostly sunny, southwest winds 5 to 10 miles an hour, switching into the northwest in the afternoon, but it'll also look very seasonable for our game day on Saturday when the Huskers take on the Michigan State Spartans. If you're going to be in Lincoln for the game, 9 a.m. is pretty early, but it'll be 40 degrees. That primetime game starts at 6 o'clock, noon 50, 53 at 3. It's going to be sunny pretty much all day and clear even into kickoff at 45 degrees, cool and clear southwest winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour. It looks very nice for the weekend as well. Our weekend, taking a look at Sunday, 59 degrees and breezy. And as you look into the beginning of the work week next week, it's going to be into the 60s, 60 on Monday and sunny. Our next chance for some precipitation is going to be Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, 62 for Tuesday, and it'll be a little bit wet for your Veterans Day. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Cody and Audra. This week on our sports feature, we're going to take a look at a group of guys who are driven by their love for the game. Our reporter Drew Saunders, with help from JC John, has this story.
From big time to little known, sports are happening all across Nebraska's campus all the time. An inside look at what our Huskers are doing happening right now.
Although UNL's club baseball team is different than Nebraska's Division I team, they still have the same drive and love for the game.
I'm a junior at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and I pitch. So what that pretty much means is I'll have the ball every single play to begin, and so it's a very important role. I take pride in that, just trying to be a leader on the field, because the pitcher is a pretty important position.
For most of the players, baseball has always been a big part of their lives.
It's in my blood. Dad loved it. Me and my brother, you know, he got us to love it. And once you play it for the first time, you get hooked and you continue to play it until right now.
The MLB season just wrapped up, but the players told us which teams they were rooting for.
Mets, Blue Jays, Cardinals.
The Royals is my favorite team, so I was very excited when they won the World Series.
For Capital City Underground, I'm Andrew Saunders.
Thanks, Drew and JC. We're going to take a quick break, but stick with us.
Students in the UNL Department of Textiles, Merchandising, and Fashion Design will host their first Friday fashion show in the Haymarket tomorrow night.
Reporter JC John is live at the Union with more.
Thanks, guys. So the TMFD students will be showcasing their fashion pieces tomorrow night on live models in the public market in the rail yard. So let's take a sneak peek at some of the clips from last year's fashion show.
It's less than half an hour. Our girls are everywhere. They're getting their hair and makeup done.
No matter if you're waiting for hair or whatever, you need to be dressed and get dressed right now.
Kind of nervous. I'm starting to look at the crowd.
Yeah, a little nervous, but excited. Very excited.
Tomorrow's first Friday fashion show will start at 7 p.m. in the Haymarket. Now let's go to the studio where singer-songwriter Michael Allen stopped by to perform for us. Here's a look at one of his original songs.
Gone away down this road of fate, nothing to see along the way. I'll take my mind to another place. It's all I can do to survive the day. My mind's a haze, getting dark and cold. Your ghost is here and won't go away. Take away this pain, burning in my soul. Wonder if I'll ever be the same. Hey. Other side, life with you playing in my head. I search alone for the reasons why I can't let you go until I'm dead. Well, I never know just when I'll go. Only God can tell the end of time. So I walk alone down this lonely road with your curse at the end of the line. Yeah, loving you, I paid my dues. Think I suffered long enough. Loving you, I paid my dues. Think I suffered long enough.
Wow, he was great. I got to be in the studio while we were recording and doing the whole production, and he was just an amazing talent.
It seems like it. He's actually one of our very own videographers' twin brother, but he likes to be on camera more than Joey does, obviously.
Just a little more.
But no, he truly was amazing. Guys, that's all we have for this week. Thanks for watching Capital City Underground. I'm Bailey Neal. We'll see you next week. Same place, same time.
And I'm John Hanson. Have a good night, Lincoln.